You're looking at the state-of-the-art in cookware, concentric air by Wherever. Naturally, it's non-stick inside, but with concentric air, it's what's outside that counts. We call this a coined base. These little grooves are designed to move hot air equally across the pan's bottom and eliminate hot spots, so food cooks quickly and evenly. We call this controlled cooking, because whatever you cook comes out perfect. On both sides, concentric air by Wherever. We'll make you a better cook.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Sally, and from 1948 up until the mid-1990s, the Wherever plant in Chillicothe made household items such as pots and pans and shipped them across America. It wasn't until the late 90s and early 2000s that it was discovered that the plant had also been contaminated by hazardous chemicals, and the employees that worked there were also exposed. My uncle started working at the plant in 1959, eventually retired just before they shut down in the mid-90s. A few years later, he ended up developing COPD. Doctors linked that COPD to the hazardous chemicals that workers, including my uncle, were exposed to at the Wherever plant in Chillicothe. Chemicals such as TCE, vinyl chloride, cadmium, and many other hazardous chemicals were spread throughout the facility. My uncle recalled the dust that he would breathe in every single day while working in the processing plant. This dust was actually walnut shell dust, laced with lead and TCE, which is an industrial degreaser that is highly, highly hazardous. In fact, the plant had dumped tens of thousands of gallons of TCE on the site over its time in operation. So much so that the ground is contaminated and there are large plumes of TCE throughout the property. In the late 90s, the EPA was made aware of the hazardous conditions at the Wherever plant in Chillicothe. They began an investigation into it and discovered that the entire site had been contaminated, and remediation efforts needed to start the minute the plant closed. That includes finding the TCE plume in the ground, isolating it, and trying to control it. Monitoring wells were spread out throughout the property, and they still exist today and are constantly monitored annually by the Environmental Protection Agency. The amount of hazardous chemicals that were displaced throughout this facility made it unusable. The only part that is still active is the logistics hub, the warehouse, which is currently housing Howmet Aerospace. But the process buildings are so contaminated that chemicals, hazardous chemicals, have been found in the concrete, in the infrastructure of the production buildings, as well as the traffic control or operator's office. My uncle was not the only one who became sick from working at the Wherever plant. Many of his co-workers developed cancer and COPD, linked directly to the hazardous chemicals and lead that they were exposed to while making simple household products. Products that can still be found in many homes today. Wherever, owned by Alcoa, American Aluminum Company, subjected their employees to known hazardous chemicals daily for years. Currently, the Wherever plant is a Superfund site by the EPA.